up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, we're going to do another Star Wars video. This one is going to be a sort of review, more of a discussion on Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. It'll be similar to the one I just did on The Phantom Menace, if you've watched that one. If you haven't, go check that one out. Alright, so, the point of these was, I was going back and rewatching all of Star Wars for May the 4th and all that, and I thought to myself, the prequels get so much hate, so many people hate on them. I figured, since I was rewatching them anyway, I'd put together a little review on them. And, kind of pick apart the movie and see what makes people so unhappy with it, and maybe what doesn't work about it, what does work about it. So we'll just kind of get into it a little bit. All right. So, in this one, we pick up several years after Episode 1. I don't think they explicitly say, but you figure Anakin is about 10 in Episode 1. Let's just pick 10 because it's a nice round number. And you figure he's about 17, 18 by the time Episode 2 rolls around. So so let's just say he's 18 just for the sake of saying it, right? So 8 years later, right? Approximate. And, now we have Palpatine has been in charge of the Senate. And there's still, some battle raging on with the droid army and the Trade Federation and their little alliance they've got with, there's a whole bunch of them. I don't want to get into all that now. Count Dooku's part of it. There you go. Oh, I think I just spit all over the screen. You guys didn't see it, right? Alright, so what we deal with here is, with Anakin, we start to deal with, you seeing that he really has no control over his emotions. So his story arc in this movie is, you see him deal with anger in an unhealthy way by killing all those sand people, dealing with his mom and everything. I mean, it was pretty gangster that he went down there, to save her and everything. But, he loses control of his anger and kills, he says, even the women and the children. So you see him lose control of his anger. You see him lose control of his, lust or love for Padme, where, it's against the Jedi code to do these things, but yet he's still doing it. So he's, once again, not controlling his feelings and his emotions and letting his feelings, his emotions control him. So, that's where we get Anakin's whole arc in this movie. It's just about them showing you that he's not stable as far as his emotions go. He is not good at controlling them. He doesn't even really try to control them. And his arrogance gets the better of him. Now, many Jedi are arrogant, so I don't think arrogance is necessarily a path to the dark side, but it's definitely a character flaw that many Jedi have, and I think it's been the downfall of probably quite a bit of Jedi in thinking that they're just the best, Alright, now as far as Obi-Wan's storyline, his storyline is more of a detective in this movie, where he's kind of uncovering the secrets behind everything. They don't come to the exact realization that, about the Emperor Palpatine and all that in this movie, but he does uncover the whole clone conspiracy and, some disordinance there in the Jedi Order, and they further expose Count Dooku as being part of this alliance. They know now that it's not just the Trade Federation; it's bigger than that, and that's really thanks to Obi-Wan and his digging. And then as far as Padme, we get her kind of struggling. I feel with not being queen anymore. Now she's a senator. When she was queen, as far as ruling Naboo, it was whatever she said went, as far as Naboo went. She only had to deal with the Senate when they were dealing with galactic things and all that. Because Palpatine was the senator for Naboo, so he was the one that really dealt with the Senate. So, on like a daily basis, I would assume. So now Padme is thrust in this role where she's now senator, and you would think that a queen has more pressure on her, but I guess a queen, a king, they're only looking at the land that they govern. Whereas a senator, even though they represent a certain land, they kind of got to look at the whole scope, the whole picture of the whole galaxy and the unification and all that stuff. I don't know. I guess it's just a different political plate, so to speak. But now I think that's a lot of people's main problem with this movie is the lack of real story arcs. Anakin, like I said, has a story arc, with his mom and then with Padme. And Padme has one too when you throw in Anakin, but they're, I don't know, they're a little light on the arcs, and Obi-Wan doesn't really have any arc in this movie. He doesn't really have any growth, or he doesn't change in any way at all. I mean, neither does Anakin or Padme. They don't really change in this movie either. They kind of just reveal themselves to you, which I guess is a flaw for the movie, and I can see why they take some people out of the film. Now, another thing that I know people complain a lot about is Hayden Christensen. Now, I will say that he is not the best actor in the world, but he is a better actor than he is in this movie. Now, I don't know if it's the dialogue he's given to or George Lucas's directing style, but he comes across as very cheesy. Now, I lean towards it being a little bit of both, Lucas and the dialogue, because if you really look at the original trilogy, there are moments of cheesiness, there are moments of corniness, there are some cringy dialogue, there are some, oh shucks moments in there, and I think that's just part of the aesthetic of the Star Wars universe. I feel like every movie needs that, even Rogue One kind of had that to it at certain times. So I think it's part of the world that has been created here in Star Wars. So I don't really see that as a huge flaw. I mean, all right, yes, cheesiness will always be a flaw, but if you look at it in the sense of how people watch B movies, knowing that it's gonna be a little cheesy, when you know that going in, it's not so bad. So I don't know. Star Wars to me gets a pass because it's always been that, in my opinion. There's cheesy moments in every single movie. So his acting is not atrocious or terrible. He just comes across not Darth Vader enough and very whiny teeny. But I guess that's who he is at this time. Remember, he's a Jedi. He's maturing and growing slower than the average human because Jedi have a certain rule that's kind of antisocial. Where, you're really only around Jedi, you're really only social with Jedi, and everyone else is kind of just like a target or an interrogation or, somebody who you have to save. So, I can see how the maturity of a Jedi can be slightly stunted. But then again, it's kind of strange how I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. All right, so, yeah, what else do people complain about the Clone Wars? I like it. I think the end fight scene is great. I've heard people complain about that fight with Yoda and Dooku and Anakin. I love it. I thought it was an awesome fight scene. Great choreographed, and I love how Anakin's arrogance gets the best of him, and he loses an arm because of it. And then it shows you in Dooku that some, certain Jedi, when you get to a certain age, a certain point in your life, you're not jumping, flipping all around. You're fighting more like a sword fight, like fencing, as opposed to, some of the other action that we see. So it kind of meshes well to me with, like, the way Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fought in New Hope, where it's kind of a lackluster fight, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't really have any complaints about this movie, and I don't see where people's problems with... I totally get a Phantom Menace, and I said that all throughout my review of it, that I get why people were so angry with it. But with Attack of the Clones, I feel like it was a much better done job. Yeah, some of the CGI is a little wonky, but once again, for the time that it came out, it really wasn't, I mean, I'm not saying it was cutting edge, the best ever, but it was up there, it was par. It was at least on par, if not a little slightly above. So, I don't know, that's, not a good argument to me. The action was good. I enjoyed that scene in the pit with those monsters. I love that scene. And then when the Jedi all come in, I got chills, man. The whole Boba Fett, Jango Fett thing I loved. A lot of people complained about that, which I don't get why you would complain about that. I thought that was awesome to give Boba a little bit of an origin story, flesh him out a little bit. And then, even though I'm not the hugest fan of the Clone Wars animated series, the stuff they did with Boba Fett on that show was all great. I love all the bounty hunter stuff. Yeah, so all that was good. What else do people complain about? Oh, the C-3PO and R2-D2 stuff. All right. I don't like the look of it all, and I don't like the way that they're included in the action. Alright, I will give you that. That's my least favorite scene of the movie, is that scene on the conveyor belts. With, you have Padme, you have Anakin, you have the two droids. That's my least favorite scene of the whole entire movie. Now, leading up to that scene, I like, because those monsters, those aliens, those bug-looking aliens, are really creepy looking. And you get a real sense of like fear and it's I'm not going to say it's scary, but it's a scary scenario that they're put in, and you kind of feel that fear a little bit. I felt it anyway. Yeah, and all right, the clones looked a little bad as far as CGI. I feel like you should never be CGIing people. People always look strange when you CGI them. Their movements, their faces, everything looks strange, even when it's top notch. Like when they did Tarkin in Rogue One, that's like top notch CGI to be able to do that. And it's not the best ever, and it looks wonky. Stuff that's amazing that doesn't look wonky. I don't know how they do it so good. Is all the de-aging in Marvel is just so amazing. The way they did Pym, that's another story. That's another topic, another story altogether. Sorry. Yeah, so I really don't get what people's biggest gripe is with this. I liked it, personally. My least favorite moment, like I said, was the conveyor belts. My favorite moment was probably the pit with the monsters, with Obi-Wan and Anakin and Padme. All the way up through when the Jedi come in. I tell you, I got chills when all those Jedi come in with all those lightsabers. And then Yoda comes in with the clones and all that. All that was great. I mean, honestly, if you want to say what's my favorite moment of that movie, it's from the pit all the way to the end, to the final fight with Dooku and all that. That's my favorite, because even the part with Yoda when he comes in all gangster and he pulls the lightsaber out, he doesn't even touch it. He uses the Force. I love that whole thing. Amazing to me. I don't know how people don't like it. That's one of the better scenes in the whole franchise. That end scene with Anakin, Dooku, and Yoda is one of the best scenes in the whole franchise. I'll argue that till the day I die. Even through the originals, it's one of the best sequences. And that's the thing about the prequels. They may not be the best movies all around, but they have some of the best action and some of the best just sequences. Like if you take just the Darth Maul scene, you know what I mean? Or just the scene I'm talking about from the pit all the way to the end. Really good stuff. And really Star Wars-y stuff. So I don't see how people didn't grasp it and like it. And I think it's because they hated Phantom Menace so much, they couldn't find themselves embracing the next one. That's what I really think it is. Because the Clone Wars is not that bad of a movie. It's a little slow at times. Yeah, seeing the relationship between Padme and Anakin feels a little off because they don't really have the chemistry, the two actors. That's another complaint I hear a lot. And I agree, they didn't really have the chemistry like that. But you need that for the story, so whatever. It is what it is, I don't think it's a terrible movie whatsoever. Is it my least favorite Star Wars? No. My least favorite is Phantom Menace. Where would I put Clone Wars in the spectrum of all the Star Wars movies? That's hard. I'm going to have to do a video just about that. But it's definitely not at the top. I'll tell you that right now. But I enjoy it. I thought it was alright. Honestly, I'll give it, as a hardcore Star Wars fan, I don't think it's that bad. I give it a 4 out of 5. If you're not hardcore Star Wars, then, you want to give it probably like a 3.5. It's better than Phantom Menace, definitely. I enjoy it though, and if you haven't seen it in a long time, maybe you want to go back and watch it. Yep, that's pretty much it for this one. Sound off down below. Let me know what you think about Star Wars Episode 2, The Clone Wars. Or, I mean, Attack of the Clones, excuse me. Or what you think about this video, my review. I know this one was a little wonky, a little all over the place. I had a long day. I'm a little out of it, but I wanted to get this video up so I could post it as soon as possible. All right, thanks again for watching. Always appreciate it. Sound off down below. Like I said, anything you got to say, sound off. You guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.